Hey everybody, this is Diane Fox again, contacting you from the auction committee. There's one more week to submit to the auction for any item that's going to be included in the auction booklet. So I hope everybody is putting on their thinking caps and are planning on putting the items in the auction this week. I am as guilty as you. I haven't gotten mine into the auction catalog yet, but I will before November 7th, which is the auction deadline. These kind of events and dinners and the auction party itself are all community building, and we need that so much right now. I hope that you're gonna participate so that we can gather together in this way to support the church, because this is part of the budget of the church right now. I appreciate it, and we will look for your entry into the catalog by next Sunday. Bye.
We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and the pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and in this space, for we meet on holy ground.
Be yourselves, be
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another, this is our great covenant.
The story I'm going to share today is an adaptation of one written by A.E. Ali called Our Favorite Day of the Year. And it begins on the very first day of kindergarten for a kid named Musa. I wonder if you can remember a first day of school that you have had. So that morning, Musa's teacher, Ms. Gupta, said, "Look around the room. You don't know them now, but these faces will become your closest friends this year." Musa looked at the three kids seated at the same table as he was. They didn't look like his friends. They were total strangers. But his teacher went on and she said, "A great way to make new friends is by sharing things that we like. And for me, meeting new students is my favorite thing to do. And that's why the first day of school is my favorite day of the year." Now Musa could not believe that that was true. And he could tell that the other three kids, Moises and Talia and Kev, didn't believe it either. What do you think? I wonder what your favorite day of the year is. But his teacher went on. She said, "This year, for show and tell, you'll take turns telling us all about your favorite day of the year. And that way, throughout the year, the class will celebrate it with you." And Musa perked up a little bit at that. The best day of the year was definitely Eid. Surely Eid was everyone's favorite day. What do you think? So at lunchtime that day, Musa sat with Moises and Talia and Kev. And Talia said, "I don't get it. The first day of school? How can that be anyone's favorite day?" And Moises said, "Yeah, how can it be more fun than Christmas?" And Musa said, "Well, my family doesn't celebrate Christmas." And Talia said, "Yeah, me neither." And then Kev said, "I do, but it's definitely not my favorite day." And Musa thought it sounded like they didn't have anything in common. Everybody had different ideas. I bet they had different ideas about all kinds of things. And then he said, well, my favorite holiday is coming up before too long. Maybe we'll celebrate it at school. And sure enough, a few weeks later, Musa and his mom brought in food and decorations for the class. And he made a big sign that said Eid Mubarak. And Musa taught the kids how to say it. And then he told them more about the holiday. And he said, on Eid al-Fitr, my family goes to the mosque to pray early in the morning. And afterward, we have a huge breakfast. Have any of us ever eaten a really big breakfast that we remember that we enjoyed? And then he said, family and friends come to the house all day to eat food and bring presents. And people eat all kinds of food since Muslims come from all around the world. And Musa shared with them some of his favorite foods to eat at Eid. And everyone could see why Eid was Musa's favorite day. Now, before long, a little bit later that year, it was Talia's turn. And she made a big sign that said, Shana Tova. And Talia stood in the front of the classroom and said, Happy New Year! My family is preparing for the Jewish New Year of Rosh Hashanah. And Talia taught the kids how to say it. And then she explained to them, on Rosh Hashanah, we light candles at night. I really love that. I wonder if you have ever lit a candle when it was dark out. And then she continued, she said, and we go to the synagogue during the day with our family and friends. And we also eat lots of yummy food for a sweet new year and wish each other Shana Tova. And Talia brought apples dipped in honey and challah bread to share with the class. Yum, Musa thought. Does that sound really good to you? He thought it was really yummy. He thought he probably enjoyed it just as much as Talia did. And everyone could see why Rosh Hashanah was Talia's favorite day. When winter came around, it was Moises's turn. Moises said, Feliz Navidad! I'm sure you all have heard of Christmas, but maybe not the way my family celebrates. On Christmas, we celebrate Las Posadas. And Moises taught the kids how to say that. And he said, it lasts 9 days. And we decorate the house with flowers and wreaths and lanterns. We sing songs. We drink a special drink called ponche navideño. And we hit a piñata. And on the ninth day, Buena Noche, we go to church at midnight and open presents when we get home. Moises brought ponche navideño and a piñata for the class, and Musa had just as much fun as Moises did hitting the piñata. And everyone could see why Christmas was Moises's favorite. Then, in the springtime, it was Kev's turn. Happy Pie Day, said the class together as Kev held up a sign. And Kev said, my family celebrates science. Pi Day is on March 14th because 3.14 is an important number in math. Well, actually, it's 3.14159, and more than that, but really, we celebrate it on March 14th because that's 3, January, February, March, 1-4. So on that day, my family makes different kinds of pies, and we learn about scientists and their discoveries. And this year, we learned about volcanoes. And Kev shared what they had learned. And Musa could tell that Kev loved learning, just like Musa did. I wonder if you are somebody who loves learning. And Kev also shared about their favorite scientist, Isaac Newton, who discovered gravity when an apple fell on his head. And Kev brought freshly baked apple pie to share with the class. And everyone could see why Pie Day was Kev's favorite. Then, on the last day of school, their teacher said to the class, I'm going to miss you all very much. And then she said, I want you to look around the classroom. And Musa looked and saw all of his classmates, and especially his 3 best friends, Moises and Talia and Kev. He looked at all the kids he'd gotten to know this year. But he worried, what if Musa and Moises and Talia weren't in the same class next year? But then their teacher handed out a calendar with many holidays on it and said, this way, you can always remember when we're not together to celebrate the days or to honor the days that brought us together. And indeed, the whole year was full of days to celebrate with friends new and old.
As the veil is growing thin and Samhain night grows near, we call upon the ancestors, the ones we hold dear. They'll guide you on your journey with knowledge you can trust. Fire, feast, and celebrate. Burn leaves of golden rust. The new year is upon us, so raise your voice in song. Sing with your father's father, you've waited all year long. Dance with your mother's mother and join in ritual rhyme. We honor all their wisdom, passed down through all of time.
Hello. Now we come to the part of the service where we express joys and concerns. Joys of exchanging a smile on the street with a stranger. Joy of being able finally to be able to travel to see family and friends for Thanksgiving and the upcoming holidays. Being with our friends. Phone calls from our friends. We're joyful about projects that we have completed around the house, planting flowers, and receiving happy news from medical tests that we may have had. We're joyful about possibility of being back in the sanctuary together, for kids going back to school, and for people starting their retirement, and the happiness it hopefully will bring. We do have concerns about those who have their health in the balance, who are continually caring for their loved ones in their homes with no break in sight, no just the uncertainty ahead and decisions that have to be made that are so hard. There are those in our congregation that are dealing with a loved one's terminal illness, and those who are suffering the grief and the loss of a loved one and pets that were most beloved, and those who aren't grieving after a loss and don't understand why, but only feel relief. At this time, let's take a deep breath. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Spirit of love, spirit of life. It's with gratitude that we come together today. We are thankful for our friends, for any good news that we received, for getting to live in this part of the country in the fall in East Tennessee. We are challenged by repetitive thoughts that don't serve us anymore, and we confess that we have done things we shouldn't have done, and we didn't do things we could have done. We are thankful for our imagination that can bring us comfort once we clear our minds, and we can take ourselves back to our childhood when we had so very few responsibilities and cares. And when we found great joy in skipping a rock across a pond, or falling backwards in a pile of leaves, or finding ourselves in a lovely library in quiet and peace with a very good book. And at this time, you are welcome to add and be in silence. Add any requests, hopes, and dreams that you might have. May it be so.
Good morning. My name is Claudia Presley, and I'm the Director of Administration here at TVUUC. Thank you for joining us today. Today is a Generosity Sunday. What that means is that 100% of any contribution that comes in today that is not marked as a pledge will go to the General Operating Fund of TVUUC. Now, more than ever, we need your help as we move into our next phase to start reopening the building, cleaning up our grounds, cleaning up our building, getting ready for you all to come back, hopefully sooner rather than later. The way that you can give to help with that is to go to tvuuc.org/give, or you can text give to the number 73256, type in TVUUC and the amount. So whatever your circumstances, if you are in a place where you can be generous with us today, we would very much appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon.
The cycle of life includes death. Throughout the ages of humankind of development, we have sought an explanation of death. We have many traditions, procedures, rituals that we surround death with to understand, to find comfort, to alleviate our fears. Different religions have sought to explain, exploit, rationalize, yet it still remains a mystery. The three Western celebrations that form the basis of our challenge to death are as follows. Samhain, the time when we are near our ancestors, the thinning of the veil where they can visit us. Samhain is the time from Jewish beliefs that we see. And not surprising, it starts on the sunset of the 31st of October and ends the sunset of November 1st. It acknowledges the end of harvest and the beginning of the dark of winter, the death of life. People remember the dead and feast during Samhain, and it leaves an empty seat for deceased friends or relatives and light candles to tell the stories of the deceased. A glass of mulled wine and a soul cookie, a cookie baked especially for the ceremony. This is Sal. The Christian festival of All Saints' Day. It comes from the conviction that there's a spiritual connection between God and earth. The people who have died in God's name and earth. In the Catholic tradition, the holiday honors all those who have passed on to the kingdom of heaven. It is a national holiday in some historically Catholic countries. In a Methodist tradition, All Saints' Days relates to giving God earnest gratitude to those who were part of our community and the deaths of all of his saints, remembering those who were well known and not well known. Additionally, individuals throughout Christian history are celebrated, as Peter the Apostle and Charles Wesley, as well as people who have personally guided one's faith to Jesus, such as a relative or a friend. Each of these celebrations seek to reconnect us to the joy of loved ones, the use of candle, food, drink, stories, travel among the world throughout many cultures. There are such holidays as the Day of the Dead, the Queen Mine, and I can name others, but what's important is that the clear objective is to remember our loved ones and to remove our fear of death. Happy Halloween! Everyone loves to dress up in costume. And Halloween has its origins in Samhain among the Celts, and led to our development of All Saints' Day. This is not a religious holiday. Of course, it corresponds to the calendars that existed at the time. The date considered the beginning of the winter period, the date on which the herds were moved from the pastures and the land 10 years were renewed. The Samhain festivals were for those who died and were believed to return to visit their homes, and those who died during the year who were believed to journey to the other world. People set bonfires on hilltops for relighting the fires and to frighten away evil spirits, and they sometimes wore costumes and masks so that they would not be recognized by the ghosts thought to be present. And when the Romans conquered the Celts, they believed that they could find their holiday, known as the festival of Pomona, who was the goddess of the harvest, and it also was the time and place of celebrating the repassing of the dead with the Feralia. So the Romans incorporated Samhain, and in addition, the Christians then incorporated Halloween and on All Hallows Eve, thus giving us All Saints Day. So again, to capitalize on all of these pagan and Druid holidays, and to include the Roman holiday is seen today as a fun time for children, for trick-or-treating, but is all rooted back to that first holiday of Solomon and the Roman history of their holidays, and then Christianity incorporating them. So the fun thing to remember is that all along we have struggled with dealing with death. So how do we connect to this, and how do we learn to find the joy in the passing of people, the wisdom to find the joy? We've created the death holidays to rid or lessen our fears of death. Christians use hell and brimstone, and others use reincarnation, while others use the fact that it ends when it ends, and we go back to the molecules that are in the world. Yet the one thing that all of the thoughts and religions and philosophies seem to have in common is that the fear of death is the worst possible state that a person can be in at the moment of death. The design of all the rituals, all the holidays, is to alleviate the fear of death. Because if we are fearless at that time, we will imagine joy, we can imagine being comfortable in our life here, and not have fear of dying drive us through all our beginnings, our middles, and our ends. A saying by Buddha that death is not feared so much by one who has lived wisely. What does it mean to live wisely? Well, it can mean to care for our fellow beings, for the life in our world, to care for each other, the least of each other, to be kind. James 3:17 says, "The wisdom comes from heaven is first of all pure, peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy, and good fruit, impartial and sincere." Do we have a pureness of heart, toward all, a desire to be gentle, and to seek no argument among each other? And submissiveness can be read as not being arrogant, leaving space for others. Are we non-discriminatory and honest? The wisdom of living your life this way reduces regrets, anger, hate, sadness. Thus, when death comes, you look back through your life and you will see that you conquered the evils of living and defied the death of all things that come to kill your soul. The attribute of wisdom allows us to release the fears we have of success, of power, and find joy in living in peace and mindfulness of the now. The book of Solomon's wisdom found that God did not create death. For God made not death, neither does he have pleasure in the destruction of the living. He created all things that they might, in their being, be a generation of the world with healthful and there's no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death being part of your life here on earth. Righteousness is immortal. Death is not created by God. It came into the world because of the unrighteousness of people. We are meant to generate to life, to live life with each other in harmony. Thus, living life, a life of wisdom, allows us to see the beauty, the joy, the love in the world and of each other. And that continuation of joy, of beauty, of love is throughout all that we do. We do not lose our loved ones that pass. Instead, that joy that they live within us, among us, in the thought and the actions and the way of the world that we know. The holidays that surround the end of harvest and the beginning of winter invite us to have co-memories of our loved ones. We are asked to hold them close and remember the good times, the things we learned from them, and the things that we hope to pass on to future generations. That's the generating of love, the generating of peace, the generating of knowing joy. That is what death does for us. That we remember the good things, the impossible things that we must continue to believe that can happen. Each the days of the holidays, be it Samhain, Halloween, All Saints' Day, they give us the memory, the opportunity to hold our loved ones, to seek lessons from them, to see wisdom in what they did and what we learned, or maybe their lack of wisdom. And still we can embrace that with joy, knowing we can do better. We can generate a world more of love, more of peace, more of just joy. The thoughts and the actions bind us together. Chang Tzu says that all things come together in one, life and death. The joy you love, the joy you feel in a loved one's physical remains is lost. But the love and joy you have in the thoughts, in the memory, in the emotions they generate in you, they're there. And the holidays allow you to remember them. Despite the different rituals that surround each tradition, there are commonalities among them. The time to sit and talk with your relatives with food, with wine, to pray, to meditate. But the most important thing is not to be afraid. Don't be afraid. Live your life with the wisdom, showing the pureness of your heart, showing the patience of your soul, showing the love that you have and the joy you have in the beauty of this world. And also, in finding the wisdom in your life, you find the wisdom of those who have passed. And that is what we are here to give, to know, to love, to live our lives with the commonality of each other, of the world, of different people, of different beliefs, which all have that one string that ties us together of love, of peace, of joy. Death is nothing at all. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away to the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you used to speak to me. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no false air of sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word, and that it always was, and let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of a shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same that it ever was. There's no broken, absolutely no broken continuity. Why should I be out of mind? Because I'm out of sight. I am but waiting for you for an interval, somewhere near the future, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is past, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before, only better, infinitely happier, and forever we shall be one together with our love and our joy. Remember your friends, both living and dead. Remember the joy you have with the people that you know. Call them, email them, and know that next week we will be together. Remember to be vaccinated and to be ready, to prepared to sing together, to love together, to share together our love. Peace be with you. Amen.